We are live from Raiders training camp today in Southern California, Vegas, trying to figure out who their quarterback is going to be. Josh Jacobs is no longer there. They know what they have on that defensive side. They think it could be one of the best defenses, if not the best, in the NFL. So let's take you out to training camp right now. Our Jonathan Jones is standing by. Got to speak with several members of the organization today, including Davante Adams, who had 3 straight first-team All-Pros, and then last year he got shut out. Never shy about speaking his mind. What did he have to say to you?
Yeah, look, I actually decided to start the interview with that, which was a choice by me. And but he was great. And he said, listen, I always am setting goals for myself. And he kept a lot of his goals private because he didn't want people to check the receipts later on and all that. I think if you have a Netflix subscription, or if you bum it off a friend like some people do, you saw that he was frustrated with last season, that he just could not get the football the way that he wanted to when Jimmy Garoppolo was the starting quarterback. And as the season progressed, as Antonio Pierce took over, as Aiden O'Connell grew a little more comfortable in the scheme, those kind of concerns started to dissipate. I did not see a whole lot from him out here today. I have not seen a whole lot in terms of reporting from this camp about him. And, I think that we're going to get into the quarterback battle, but I don't think it's because Davante Adams has lost a step that he hasn't been making any highlight reel grabs out here at training camp. It is certainly far more about the men who are throwing him the football and the time that they have to get the football out of their hands.
Well, let's talk about that quarterback situation. I know you spoke with one of them, Aiden O'Connell, a little bit ago, and also you talked with the head coach, Antonio Pierce, who has not been shy about saying, look, one of these guys needs to step up. He said we need to stop with the baby steps. Somebody's got to grab the bull by the horns. Is he frustrated with the lack of clarity, I guess, at the quarterback situation right now?
Obviously, everyone wants Patrick Mahomes as their starting quarterback, right? The Las Vegas Raiders very clearly tried to improve at the quarterback position, and they could not. And so this is their lot in life right now. They have a solid backup quarterback. You can call him a journeyman if he has been to enough places in Gardner Minshew. And you have a second-year mid-round pick in Aiden O'Connell, who somewhat availed himself well. But look, they're both in the first year of a new offensive system with Luke Getsy as the offensive coordinator. They're going up against a defense, a Patrick Graham defense, that has been the same scheme the last 3 years, that also has a lot of dudes that are really, really good on it. And we're going to talk about the defense a little later on. And typically, early in training camp, the defense is going to be ahead of the offense, okay? I've now just laid out all of the reasons why the offense could struggle a little bit. The quarterbacks aren't really doing a whole lot out here right now, and it is difficult for them when Max Crosby just does not stop and is constantly in the backfield. But I was not particularly impressed with either one's play today, and talking with some longtime beat reporters out here, they said actually today was a whole lot better than yesterday's practice where the defense absolutely dominated. So this is an offense that is a work in progress. They understand that. And you asked about Antonio Pierce and if he's frustrated. I don't know that I would call it frustrated. I know that a lot of coaches have sort of had to remind AP, hey, the quarterback battle takes time, and it will take a little bit of time, and they're going to have to get into the preseason. They're going to have to get out into games. One of the things that I think Antonio Pierce is comfortable with is the idea that it will become clear in time who the starting quarterback has to be. It won't be a hard decision that he will know, the coaching staff will know, most importantly, the locker room will know, the players will know who's going to give them the better chance to win. And so until we get to those games, those exhibitions, I don't think that we're going to have any further clarity, because right now they're splitting reps almost 50-50, and I am really hard-pressed, Chris, to tell you who's leading this competition.
Many thought, and maybe they did too, that they would draft a quarterback with the 13th overall pick, but they got locked out because 6 of the first 12 picks were quarterbacks. Pretty good consolation prize, though, right? Brock Bowers, tight end, 13th overall. What did Coach Pierce tell you about his development today?
So I asked Antonio this question because historically tight ends take a little bit of time to transition from college to the NFL. For whatever reason, that position, it's just hard for him. And I asked him, does he need to speed up the curve just a little bit. He said, I think he already is. He talked about him, the two-time Mackey Award winner, the only player in college football history to win the best tight end award twice. He talked about him like he's the best rookie tight end that the NFL has seen before. So, again, if you want me to tell you how great these guys, these pass catchers looked out here, please refer back to my earlier statements about how difficult it has been for the quarterbacks to get the ball out of their hands and look very good at quarterbacking. But there's a lot of folks here that talk to me on and off the record about how enthused they are by Brock Bowers, how happy they are that he was their pick. We know a couple of teams tried to get up there to select him. Hopefully, though, we will be able to see some better quarterback play so we can see the football in his hands a little bit more.
They won't be having to face tough defenses like they are in practice each and every Sunday, because we know this Raiders defense, the team might not go to the playoffs, but this defense is playoff capable and one of the better ones on paper in the league. We know what Max Crosby can do. Aaron Donald's gone. Crosby might be the best defender in the league now. And you got Christian Wilkins who comes in to go right next to him. What do they think those two will do together?
That's unfair. Right. I mean, you know, life isn't fair, but having Max Crosby and Christian Wilkins lined up on one side of a defensive line is going to be nightmarish for a lot of teams, because these guys out here are having to double team Max Crosby. Like, he doesn't stop. And we know that he has more snaps than any other defensive lineman the last couple of years. He doesn't have a restrictor plate on him, and if you try to put one on him, he will rebuff you in the strongest terms. And so he is constantly in the backfield. I think privately, some coaches would probably wish that, like, he would just take a play off, or he would get out of there just so that the offense can get a slightly better look. But Antonio Brown certainly is saying that, look, we got to block him, and it's only going to make us better when we get to the regular season, when we face various opponents. This is a very good front. They're going to play Tyree Wilson, the former first-round pick from last year, had a foot injury coming out, and he didn't really live up to expectations his rookie year. They're going to play him on the inside and out. They're going to flip him around a lot. Malcolm Kuntz is a guy that, if you don't know the name, start to get to know it. Guy who came on late last year, who it kind of reminds me a little of Bryce Huff. Maybe a little bit body type, but also really how you didn't really know much about him, and then boom, sort of exploded, and then this offseason got a very rich contract. So that could be the future for Malcolm Kuntz. If you ask me who has the best front line, defensive front in the NFL, I would say it is really hard to put someone above the Las Vegas Raiders.
JJ, the win total is just 6.5. I don't think many people are expecting Vegas to compete for a playoff spot this season. What do you expect to see from this team?
Yeah, it is going to be hard to compete for a playoff spot if they are going to get the quarterback play that has been on display in training camp. And again, we have gone through the issues and why maybe it's lacking a little bit. But it's going to have to get better. And maybe this offensive line that doesn't have Colton Miller right now, and he should be back by week 1, that's playing Andrus Peat at left tackle right now, maybe they won't struggle as much when we get to the preseason against some other defensive fronts like they are their current in-house defensive front. But this is a group that I understand why the win total is where it is. I think this is going to be one of the better scoring defenses in the NFL. Last year, when Antonio Pierce took over through the end of the season, it was the best in the NFL. They should pick up where they left off, because they only got better by adding Christian Wilkins and keeping so many other guys here. So they will be led by their defense. They're going to need a quarterback who is not going to turn the football over. He's going to take care of it. You need to feed Davante Adams. Zamir White, continue what he was doing there in the second half of the season and really the last month of the season. And yes, they can compete in the AFC West, but certainly understand why those totals are what they are. Our Jonathan Jones with the silver and black, the Vegas Raiders in South California today. They will open up preseason play this Saturday, make that a week from Saturday, against the Vikings. I heard Coach talking to JJ earlier today saying he expects the starters to be playing at least a quarter, maybe 2 quarters of every single game this preseason. NFL on CBS begins September the 8th, and they will open up, they being the Raiders, against Justin Herbert and the Chargers on CBS.